Welcome back. This is Daybreak. Thanks for staying with us. Ahmed Hashi is governance commentator. Senator Richard Onyonka joins us this morning as well. And Peter Masara, Suna West constituency lawmaker. Thanks for staying with us, gentlemen. Yes, Ahmed, you had a point.
Well, I think that the honourable member from Suna West is speaking about the totalitarian mindset that's in the government today. The discourse, as you remember, the president has said, Mambo ni matatu. He started his presidency on threatening people that they might go to heaven. But when the Gen Zs came, and he was under house arrest in this country, because that's exactly what the president was. He could not move. He was under detention because several million young people decided to put an end to everything. Now, the question that the Member of Parliament for Suna West is telling this country is that his community and the people of Kenya at large brought a candidate called Raila Odinga, and these fellows in Mount Kenya voted for Mr. Ruto. So whatever is happening is called in the English language, and because my senior learned is on the left and he went to Nairobi school, it's called comeuppance. They taught that at St. Mary's? Yes. It's comeuppance. It's like they have it coming. That kind of politics, Ayub, I put it to you, is what we don't want in this country. The former Prime Minister's credentials have been about enlarging the democratic base, fighting for fundamental rights and freedoms. He gave himself that role in his struggle. I'm one of his closest aides and worked with him for a very long time. And but as a matter of conscience, just the way he disagrees as a matter of conscience, I disagree with him on a matter of conscience on the issue of joining this government. And if you are going to join the government, he has to stop this doublespeak from this Orwellian doublespeak of we're in the opposition, but we're also in the government. You know, every Kenyan can see the hypocrisy of that language, Ayub. The second thing is, if he's in the opposition, he cannot say that I'm not going to speak about the problems that this country is facing today. And trying to say that Mr. Nyong'o is the leader of the party is patently false. Its description is one like the one for Putin and Medvedev. So Mr. Nyong'o is today Medvedev, and Mr. Putin, who is going to fail, going to
Ukraine.
To this AU. The simile I'm using is that Mr. Odinga is Mr. Putin and Mr. Nyong'o is Mr. Medvedev. So, you know, Putin would put Mr. Medvedev and then sit at the background but still control things. That's exactly what's happening in ODM. And I think that either ODM joins this autocratic team in the government in a fundamental way, and keeps quiet and said, let whatever happen, happen. Mr. Kaluma just said as much. He said, not only Mr. Kaluma, the senator from, I think, Migori, the young man from Migori, he said whether the president does not do development, if he does not bring the economy back, we are going to stand with the president until the end. Now, if the culture of which I helped build, and I was the spokesman for, has reached this level, then what do we expect of Mr. Ruto, who has never voted for one progressive political iota in this country in his entire political life?
All right, and Senator Richard Onyonka,
yes.
In the course of this, again, let's now proceed. And yesterday, still on governance, the head of state presided over the graduation of more than 500 forest officials at the NYS College in Gilgil in Nakuru County. He said, to quote him, all of us, the people of Kenya, it's time we believe in this great country that God has given us. It's time to stop the negativity. It's time to stop believing in fake news and propaganda that's hurting our nation. He said, we have a remarkable country, therefore there's need to focus on some of the achievements that we have accomplished as a country. Yes, this is true, but there's a thin line between patriotism, good governance and accountability, is it?
Ayub, if I come to your house and I get somebody outside your house, and he happens to be one of your relatives, and I sit there with him, and then after a while, I see one child running out, screaming and saying, woo-wee, daddy, mommy, something is going on. Oh, and then another one comes and says, you know, the food I've just finished eating, I'm having tummy ache, and then the neighbor next door is hitting at the dogs and the cows. I mean, the point I'm making is that the president doesn't have to worry about fake news. What he needs to do is just govern properly, follow the law. I mean, if scandals are coming out, there is nothing that has been proven beyond against the facts that we and other Kenyans are presented out there on what's going on. You can see with prima facie cases, the courts are stopping everything that is being done. The truth and the honesty is that, yes, for example, you would like to impeach Gachagua, please follow the law. Yes, you would like to sell state corporations. Why can't you do it transparently and accountably? You are talking about Kenya is a country that has got a deep state, but it looks like you are just trying to get rid of Uhuru's deep state and set your own. I mean, we are discussing education. You have UASU, members of the University Council. They are now walking out on a strike. Our young people, men and women are at home. They have been told to go home and stay. At least it looks like there's a semblance of peacefulness for these exams which are taking place. I mean, you can imagine, I can run. If you look at, I mean, I hope the president reads today's paper. Look at page 1, how the police use phones to track captured suspects. That's true. All right? You go to the second story. I can give you another one. Murdered Wells Fargo boss probed 94 million heist involving security firm. True. I mean, you come to another one. How Devani walked free from 7.6 billion Triton scam. True. All right. The president is launching a team of people who are going to be forest officers. But in Kisii County, the Chinese have moved in and they're cutting trees like crazy, like it's sugarcane. True. I mean, we are having the county governments saying some of them are not receiving money, some of them are not able to have a development program coming up. The CIDP programs which they brought out, nothing is happening.
Yeah.
True. All right? Now, let me ask this, Ayub. What wonderful news does my president want me to talk about him? Just give me 2 things and I'll talk about them today. What is it that I will talk about him that is positive in my country today? That I woke up in the morning, everything is running fine, teachers are happy, the members of the health sector. Look at SHIF. It is not working. So why is the president not pushing very quickly with the teams he has so that he can even adopt what was working from NHIF? I mean, that is not rocket science.
Yes.
All right, you have state parastatals which are, I mean, I was traveling yesterday by air. All the employees at the airports of Kenya are shocked. They actually can't believe that the airports have already gone. What does the president want me to tell him now? I'm just frustrated.
The last time we had interviewed here the transport CS, Davis Chichir, said we are still in the stages before the completion of the deal with Adani regarding the airport, so it's not yet complete about the takeoff of the airport.
Since then, if it was not for the courts, since then, everything has been moving on. Yes, I am in the Senate. We are in the Senate. We've been asking questions about what is happening with these privatizations. I mean, you saw today, they have put it in the paper. Kenya Power and Lighting Company has made a profit of 49 billion. How do you sell such a corporation? It's profit making. So, I mean, do you see why I'm frustrated? I'm just frustrated.
Yes, Honorable Peter Masaba.
I want to say this. One, on what Hamed mentioned about Raila Odinga. Let us give credit where it deserves. Raila has played his role. He will continue playing his role with different style. He was the AD for Raila. They never delivered some of the things. They let Raila down. Raila has been a very good candidate, but some people are around him at a given point. If they don't achieve what they want, they run away from the captain. The truth of the matter is we are not in the government as ODM. We are in the opposition. Those who are speaking, they are not speaking on behalf of ODM because in the hierarchy of ODM, Kaluma and Eddie Okech are not our spokesmen. But they are people who wish to be in the government, because being the opposition is not also very easy. But who is not in the government? Ayub. Everybody, as a legislator, I'm in the legislative arm of the government. The judges are in the government as judiciary. What we are not in is the executive. We are not part of the executive. We are legislating and we are doing our role as the opposition party.
Did you donate 4 of your party members to serve as cabinet members?
Those who went to, those are experts. If you get yesterday's president's message, let us be neutral now, as patriotic as Kenyans, is requesting Kenyans of goodwill to help him market Kenya as a good country. That's a president requesting Kenyan to help him. It means he has realized that something is not right somewhere. Now he's inviting. He invited Wandai, he invited Mbadi, he invited Oparanya, and invited Joe to help him. It shows that he realized that the team he had by that time could not deliver to the expectation of Kenyan. And what is wrong with that?
The point I'm asking,
is a Kenyan,
just hang on.
Despite being a member of ODM.
Let me ask you this.
Yes.
I'll give you the time to respond. No denial that Opiyo Wandayi, Hassan Ali Joho, Wycliffe Ambetsa, Oparanya, and John Mbadi are Kenyans.
Yes.
And they by right have the capacity to serve in cabinet or in opposition, be it where it can be deemed fit. But did disappointments happen, in your view, without the consultation between the president and the ODM party leader, that 2 vice chairpersons of the ODM party, the chairperson of the ODM party, and a key member of parliament for the ODM party all moved to cabinet without Odinga's knowledge?
I'm not qualified to answer that question. But what I can tell you is I don't see anything wrong for them joining the cabinet. And you can realize when they were being sworn in, the president himself mentioned that he needed a fresh blood. Maybe he was surrounded with people who are not thinking outside the box. He decided that ODM was so solid and moving without resources. So the people who are pushing this vehicle must be having special talents. He required those talents to go. And, let's put Kenya as a football team, Ayub. When you have a team and you are not able to win a game, you go out and borrow players, good players. Okay? You loan players. When you loan a player, it does not mean this player belongs to you. You want to win a league, you have borrowed players. Now we have 4 of our players playing in the UDA club. That does not mean ODM is not existing. It shows that ODM has good players who can be borrowed and paid for to work for another team. But the truth of the matter is that as a country, before you move on,
let him finish.
As a country, I want us also, as we criticize, we must know this is the country we have. The president has mentioned a goodwill to ask people to help him run the country by marketing Kenya as a good country. What we need now to do is, as you have been mentioning, areas which are not good, we need to tell him. For example, the issue of courts, we appreciate what court has been doing now. That's their work. Where things are not good, they give orders.
Okay, hold on there.
Now the parliament need also to play their role. As parliamentarian. We need to play our role. Where things are not good, we need to come out and speak on behalf of those who elected us.
Yeah, Ayub, the great CLR James once quipped that the native does not want to be free. He wants the settler's house. He wants the settler's farm. And preferably his blonde wife. You get the drift. What is happening here is confusion made worse confounded, because in parliamentary system of government, when you come from the opposition benches and you cross the floor and go to the government side, you have defected from the opposition and you've gone to the government side. There is no opposition that loans the government side experts. If they do that, they're not the leader former of the majority or the minority party. They are not the chairman of the political party. They are not, I think, as I've said here before, patriotism is the last refuge of a scoundrel. And we should not be treated as people who don't understand the political economy of your country. The government is in bed with the ODM. There's no question about it. And in fact, more appointments are coming. probably the Minister of Interior, the Speaker of the Senate, Mr. Wetangula, is going to be deposed. National Assembly is going to be deposed. And I can guarantee you that there will be a bill in Parliament that brings back the BBI, which is the Prime Minister's position that is being put in for Mr. Odinga, because Mr. Odinga is going to fail in his AU chairmanship bid. That's common knowledge. And I just think that Kenyans are educated enough not to be told that the woman is half pregnant. I mean, you're either pregnant or you're not pregnant. You can't be do the baby test and not be pregnant. So I put it to the honorable member of Suna West that I understand that he's whipped with the party and he has to defend his party. No. But at the end of the day, what is bigger than the party is the Republic of Kenya. And the Republic of Kenya is in deep trouble because we have a president who is taking people out of their homes in the middle of the night while their children are watching and sending them to jail because they said we want to go and protest the marathon. I mean, these things are things when we were being chased with tear gas with the honorable member of Eldoret North then, Mr. Ruto, and we were eating tear gas in the streets of Nairobi in 2007. That's the only progressive thing that he ever did in his life. He has opposed the Constitution, he's opposed every progressive law in this country. And now what he has done is that he's betrayed the constituents who actually brought him into power. The UDA and the bottom-up people are now on their own. And all that he's relying on is Mr. Odinga and his ODM rednecks.
Okay, Senator, in light of this, one fundamental point that the former Deputy President and now President William Ruto pointed out was his criticism of the Odinga-Kenyatta detente, which happened in March 2018. What's the likelihood of this, again, ending up as a coalition of chaos, given the ODM party's relationship with his government now?
Oh, my God. This has been a very difficult discussion amongst us, particularly me, who happens to be in the Senate and on ODM side. I listened very carefully to what Honorable Masara is saying, and his point is that there was a decision to look at and interpret what was happening to President William Ruto's government, whether the point was, do you take the baby and the water and throw it down the river, or do you save the bucket and let the baby go, or do you keep the baby and let the bucket go? The situation that came out is that ODM decided to keep the baby. The reality that is coming out is that ODM, as my party, did not then, as you have saved the baby, give the rules and conditions under which you've saved this baby. That is what I believe Hashi is talking about. We are in a government where many of us are finding it extremely difficult to criticize this government. Why? Because the public perception, and politics is about public perception, is that we are in bed with the presidency. And by being in bed with the presidency, then it becomes much more difficult for many of us to then continue checking out the government and telling the government what the problems are and asking for the government to give solutions. Because soon, many of the people who are with the presidency, especially some of the UDA members, are telling us, but we are in this together.
Let's join them.
All right?
That's okay.
So the question is, should we move in and completely join government,
or stay in the opposition,
and in fact cross over and make ODM become some outfit where the president and Raila and everybody else are going to get together and form an outfit and say we are going to die with it?
Yes.
Or do we then
stay in opposition?
And that is where I belong to. I am an opposition member. I understand the relevance of being in the opposition member. I actually also do understand the most difficult experience Honorable Masara and other members are having.
Yeah, he's struggling.
All right?
You can tell.
And yet, in reality, if you look at where we are, what have we been talking about as a country in our socio-political economy arrangement? Good governance, separation of powers. Allow the judiciary to do their thing, let the legislature do theirs, allow the executive to guide. What has been happening? The executive has raided the National Assembly and Parliament. They have the numbers which they need. They believe and they think they can actually do whatever that they want. All right?
Yes.
I am worried that Kenya might end up being a one-party state. I am worried that we are going to change the term limits. I am worried that what President Ruto is actually thinking and looking at is that he's thinking of then him coming in and ruling this country for as long as he can.
But how can that happen on Friday? Yes, hang on. Yes,
the point I'm making is...
Because on Friday I attended the public participation exercise on the bill sponsored by your colleague, Senator Samson Cherargei.
Yes.
And it has more than 30 clauses. And the Senate email nearly crashed. There are more than 200,000 mails.
That is true. I saw that,
in objection.
That is true.
And of all the speakers who took to the floor at the KICC said no to the term limit. And still it has to go to the people for a decision, a referendum on the same. So how can that happen? Because as I said, this constitution limits the presidency or whoever occupies that position. Now President William Ruto is not an almighty president.
Let me answer that. My senior has given me 2 minutes. The French Republic has something called a cohabitation. They took this model from the French. The French elections are 7 years. So there's the president and the prime minister. There is no way that Mr. Odinga is going to go to an election in 2027 unless he's made a prime minister today. And they're preparing the ground for that. And they believe that they can go to a referendum on this issue and win. Well, what we are saying is that if we dare you to bring that to the floor of the people of this republic, to the court of our public opinion, which is our referendum and our right under the Constitution to vote for or against a kind of motion like that. It is not the National Assembly that can move on an issue that is a referendum issue. It is the people of this country, which is written directly in our Constitution. Unless they want to overthrow the Constitution of this country, unless they want to do that and return us to that one-party state and autocracy, which will send this country into civil war. I have to argue, Mr. Minister, just give me a second. I argue that you want to rule this country in a particular way, ask us. We will go to them, we will say no. And when it fails, it means the government has fallen. In any decent country, what happened with the Gen Z, there would be a general election in this country. In any decent country. Immediately. But, we are still playing the banana republic thing. Now, I know my honorable member from Suna West is at pains to try and explain to the republic of to this country as to what this sleeping with the enemy business is. But at the end of the day, we have the right to vote in our governance. We have the right to sign on to a referendum. And the president ought to stop playing shenanigans with this country.
I want to tell you that I'm requesting my brothers that let them, especially Mr. Hamed, it seems you have a bitter beef with Raila Amolo.
I don't have a bitter beef with
reasons being,
I'm explaining to the country as a public intellectual what's going on in this country.
I agree with you.
I've worked with Mr. Odinga for 20 years.
Just give me time.
Just
give me time. Either you are not paid your salary during those 20 years.
Come on. That's a problem.
No, because I initially...
Address me.
Yes,
just speak to them.
You know, we cannot be talking of wild accusation, serious one, against Raila Amolo Odinga's status. That one nobody will accept. The Raila Amolo Odinga I know, and I want to inform him that I'm a very independent member of parliament. My first election in parliament, I was an independent member of parliament, not ODM. For your information, the truth of the matter is Raila is a human being. There are area he can err, but the Raila I know, with the struggle he has done for this country, he cannot change constitution to suit an individual. That one I'm totally convinced beyond reasonable doubt. We cannot go the 7-year rule. That is impossible. Those are jokers who need seeking public attention.
So you don't support?
I can't. Okay. And even if you bring guns in my head, you can't tell us to go back to the old days. Actually, it should be 4 years so that accountability can be there. It should not be 7 years. We should reduce it to 4 years. Another thing what I want to say is we, as ODM member, have sat in almost all major meetings called by the ODM leadership. There's no issue of changing the constitution to bring the issue of prime minister. If it is there, then at the right time it will come out. What I know as a Kenyan and as a legislature representing over 100,000 people is that as things stand, we are not on the right track. That one I accept. But what next for me? We have to do things differently. We were in the opposition. The ODM and Azimio party was talking about lowering the cost of living. How can we do it when we continue demonstrating and doing things? When Rawandai and the team are there, we expect them to carry along with them the aspiration of the Azimio.
But how then? Okay, I'll hold you to account.
Just a moment.
You will finish up. Let me ask you then this, because it's fundamental, a point that Senator Jastangon, CP Okofe, will come to you. You raise a fundamental point. And you're saying, what's the point of then demonstrations when you have technical experts in cabinet? That's your point.
No, that's not the truth. What I'm trying to say, we were demonstrating, okay? We continue demonstrating. We don't have end game. I agree with what Hamed said.
No, there was an end game, because if you look at the match,
allow me to finish.
No, it can't pass without accountability. I have to check you.
How I wish you do that the same to Hamed, because when he's talking and giving wine, you keep quiet.
Okay,
but when I'm trying to explain myself, you are cutting.
I'll be fair, because you have raised fundamental issues.
Points Hamed talked, Onyonkan talked. There are so many points you need to give me time. It seems I'm the only person now.
No.
Okay. Can I ask you? Senator, let's have some order. Order.
Can I please?
Can I ask him?
Not about him.
Order. Can I ask him the follow-up question? I come to you.
And then you give me
let's have some order.
Okay.
Then I give him time.
Okay.
So that
yes, please. I'm requesting that.
I'll be fair to you. I'm
because
very,
it is 3 against 1.
Yeah.
So when you take 4 minutes,
it's 2 against 1.
He's playing politics.
4 minutes.
Don't let him do that.
Allow me to ask you the question, regardless, because it's only ethical that I be fair and objective. One of the major reasons as to why you had taken to the streets in the early months of 2023 was to lower the cost of living.
Yes.
That was the whole idea.
Yes.
Then in April, there was the acclamation to form the National Dialogue Committee.
Yes, the NADCO.
It came with a report.
Yes.
It never addressed the economic issues. NADCO addressed political issues. And now you're saying there's no need for demonstrations because we have technical experts in cabinet. I mean, how the double standards then, as a lawmaker?
Yes, can I answer you?
Yes.
From where I sit, we are pushing for implementation of the NADCO report. The NADCO report contains all our problems, most of them, to be precise. If implemented, some of the questions we are asking here today will not arise. Because in the NADCO report, they were sitting at the middle ground. They were bringing issues from this side, and coming as a country, we needed, one, to lower the cost of living. The issue of governance was mentioned in that report, that the constitution must be respected. Political parties must be respected. The law governing political parties must be respected. Because through that, when we talk, we cannot talk about governance when we don't have structured engagement with political parties. That's one. Two, on the issue of what was the way forward for us, to me, from where I sit, is that if NADCO report is implemented, we'll be having a good country. The only problem we have, power is sweet. Those who are in power already, before all these things, are not ready to let go. You must push them. By pushing them, we must come up as a country and bring the agendas which are very relevant, forgetting about things which happened in 20 years, and talk about the present. Those things help us to chart way forward. Okay. For example, now, the issue of whether ODM is in the government or not in the government, I think to me, is not fundamental. What should be discussed here is how can we hold William Ruto accountable for the people of Kenya? That's my main concern, and that's why I attended even this particular show. I didn't come here to market myself. No. The election will be in 2027. I'm come here as a leader so that how President Ruto spoke yesterday, it shows leadership. That please, let us not use propaganda to portray this country as a bad country.
What's the propaganda in your view?
The propaganda is... he used the word propaganda, the negative. Yeah. But I'm also telling him that in the current dispensation, propaganda is part of parcel of governance. Because when there were not those propagandas, he will have not come out to speak. Let him open up, give public the information, and then govern as per the rules. We want this issue of abduction stop, corruption to stop. Let each and every person feel that is part of Kenya. That's why you see in today's paper, you have not mentioned about the World Development Fund. You know, all these noises are about resources and power.
We'll come to the resource aspect. So Honorable Masara, to be clear, you agree with me that it's not propaganda when we talk about abductions. It's not propaganda, when we talk about good governance. It's not propaganda when we talk about systemic corruption.
Yeah.
Yes.
It's not propaganda when we talk about an underperforming parliament.
You are expecting President to tell us on this is a propaganda. What you are saying is wrong. The truth is this one.
Okay. Thank you.
Just a moment. On Adani, this is the truth. This is the propaganda. On the issue of Kenya airport, this is the truth. This is the propaganda.
Yes, Senator.
On the issue of governance, are you the person who has sent Teregai? This is the truth. To me, I want 5 years. I don't want 7 years. Those are leadership.
Thank you. Yes, Senator.
I just wanted to say thank you. I'm actually happy that we are having this discussion because it's very uncomfortable, particularly when we discuss Jacom Raila. I will tell you, Ayub, I've been here for the last 10 years. I talk about Raila. I've shared history with him, just like Hashi. And I wanted to tell my brother Masara that we are not angry with Mzee Raila. We are just caught in this mix of uncertainty, of despair in our party, despair not in our party, despair in our country. I know the individuals who love who would want now to enjoy the trappings of power. There are people who are now, even because they're supporting the president, they would like to, in fact, get into the choppers now. You see, I'm hoping some of these brothers of mine from ODM are not going to be getting into helicopters where they're flying in because now they are pro-government. I hope that their responsibility, and indeed I had somebody say what my Senator Eddie was talking about. I don't believe that Senator Eddie is a sycophant. I believe that whatever he said was measured for a certain purpose. And I would like to tell him, Eddie, the reason why we are here, the reason why we talk about these things on TV is not because we want to hate monger anybody or popularize anybody. It's because we are saying we're children of this republic, we are members of this republic, we expect better, we want good governance, we don't want anybody to go for the kill. We believe that the winner should not take it all. We believe that there are enough resources in this country to be shared equitably and fairly amongst all the 50-something communities that we belong to in this country. We believe so much more for this republic. So I don't want the president to keep telling me that what we are saying here is propaganda. I don't want him to say that. Let him give me something positive I can talk about. If he doesn't have it, let him give his people in government something positive for them to talk about. I mean, has university funding been organized and is working well? No. Are there challenges? Yes. Can he fix them? Yes. Let him go ahead and fix. I mean, these things we keep talking about. So I want to come to you, Ayub, and tell you this. It is true. It has mentioned over and over and over again. Mzee Raila has done his thing. He has done the best he could. He has lost elections unfairly. He has been in detention for years. He nearly got hanged for sedition. We understand that. But the responsibility of him is much higher now because the country is in more trouble than before. So he must be more careful and he must be more engaged to solve the problems of our republic. This country is bleeding. And people now expect Mzee Raila not to attack President William Ruto. He can even use his soft diplomacy. Let him go to State House and tell the president, boss, don't do this, don't do this, don't do this. This you can continue with. Okay.
Ahmed, there's another. I want to mix it up because
just a quick rejoinder. I think the role of the public intellectual or the politician, particularly a public intellectual who speaks to the media like I do, is to tell the people of this country exactly what's going on in this country without fear, without supporting anyone, no matter what my political, where I'm going to put my vote. But that's my moral responsibility that I have. And the reason I'm criticizing my former leader is very simple, because I disagree with him and he encourages it. He's probably going to call the show and say, he disagreed with his own father, disagreed with other politicians, and it is very natural to disagree with people when you feel they're wrong. Because, you know, Mr. Odinga is not a Luo leader, he's a national leader. He's elected from...
Actually, he's a Pan-African.
Yeah, as I am, from Turkana to Siaya. But we disagree with him with what he has done. And in a democracy, people have a right to disagree. Now, apart from that, that's the second. The second thing is the country is at the precipice of a very serious political and economic situation. All the people of this country see that. And people have a responsibility to stand up at that time and be counted and said, where were you when these things were happening? And that goes into your political record. It'll go into my political record. I believe that what is happening in this government is not a cohabitation. It's not a come to stay. It's the ODM is buttressing a president who has lost the moral authority in this country. And the Gen Zs have shown us that that has happened. Now, we as a country want to have a political process to make change. I don't believe in storming State House and going and lynching the president as a political process. That's ridiculous. We're going to mess our country. But what we want is a political process in which the constitution of this republic is followed, is respected. And the things I'm saying are not theoretical. You could see the senator from Migori. You could see the member of parliament from Homa Bay. These are close associates of the former prime minister. What they're saying in front of the president, they could never have said those things without clearing it with the party or with the leadership. Now, if the party doesn't agree with what Mr. Kaluma and the senator from Migori have said, they should come out and say those statements are not part of ODM, they are personal statements, because that's what we used to do when we were in the party. And that is not what's happening. So as a citizen, as a public intellectual, all I'm saying, there are three things we need to do, Ayub. We don't accept term limits. We reject it. We don't accept abductions of citizens of this country at night in their homes where their children are watching. We reject that. We reject the fact that the economy is in the doldrums and people cannot put food on their table. We reject the National Assembly's carte blanche of signature to the president of doing exactly what they want, when they want, and how they do it with instructions from State House. We as citizens reject that. And we have every right to reject that because it's in our constitution that we, the people, have the right to it. And that's my point.
And that's the point I was coming to, Honorable Senator Richard Onyonka and Honorable Peter Masara, because the ODM is clear in the term limit proposal as contained in the private members' bill by Senator Samson Cherargei and saying this is a big no. They include Edwin Sifuna Nairobi Osotsi and Fernandez Barasa, Governor Kakamega County, Wycliffe Mbetsa Oparanya, former governor, and Ayub Savula, the deputy governor. They say we're not ready for drama. 5 years is enough for leaders to perform their duties. And this, I know, they said, Cherargei is just testing the waters. As ODM chairperson for Kakamega County, I strongly oppose the proposal. The Kenya Kwanza government, they proceeded, and this is Wycliffe Oparanya, which I currently serve as an elaborate plan for its citizens. Increasing the term limits for elected leaders has no impact on development. Certainly, this is not the first time this is coming up. It's the third time. First was the Fafi lawmaker, Salah Yakub, who made the sentiment saying there's need for the extension of the time or to scrap it. And also in front of the president when he was opening a manufacturing plant in West Pokot County, some said, there's no problem. We can do that. That was David Kosing, the long-term lawmaker. And recently there was a rapprochement between the Ugandan National Resistance Movement Party and NRM and the UDA officials in Kampala, Uganda. And in 2017, NRM scrapped the age limits, which expressly allowed President Yoweri Kaguta Museveni to contest again in what the opposition sees as a lifetime presidency. So we shouldn't, as members of the public, be blind to these facts, is it?
No, we cannot be blind to these facts. The reality is that my brother and friend Cherargei is being cheeky. He's trying to test, like Hashia said, he's trying to test the public mood about it. I am 1,000% against this nonsense. I believe it's a waste of public time, energy, and resources. This country doesn't need to change anything for now. The things that need to be changed are our corruption, our bad governance, the human rights abuses, and the way we treat each other as Kenyans. Ayub, the critical aspect that many politicians, I think, and I don't know whether I'm right or not, politicians have refused to accept that our country is broken down. And that is why I'm hoping that from like the way my brother Masara is talking, and I told you I really, really highly respect him because we've shared our politics before, because we are reasonably independent-minded. How we wish that what concentration we'll be having right now is the president calling a constituent assembly to Bomas of Kenya with all the Kenyans who can live in 5,000, and we are saying what is wrong with our economy. How can we fix this corruption nonsense that is going on? How are we going to institute open government? Why are we behaving like this government? You cannot know what people are doing in it. Everybody knows what everybody does. And what some of us have been saying, we can fix this country before it goes to the point where it is unable to be fixed. We have overborrowed, we are unable to service our debts. But are we talking about it? No. We keep talking about funny things. We keep raising issues that are not there. You remember under the NADCO and under BBI, we said, and this is simply because of the knowledge now we have. Unless we take the national money, our county government resources that are supposed to go to the county government must go to the ward. But you can see already governors are, what are they saying? They are saying, no, we can't give you that money, or that money is not going to be budgeted for. The issue of the dysfunctionality of our country is that money that is supposed to help the public is eaten and is stolen and is abused and is wasteful. All right? And these are the issues that we should be talking about. The closing out the loopholes and closing out the fissures where these hemorrhaging of our resources for development, where we are unable to treat our people at medical facilities, where level 1, 2, 3, and 4 hospitals don't have medicines, where after 60 years, we are not giving our people clean drinking water, where we can't even use what God has given us, solar energy. Why? Because people want to steal money from Kenya Power. I mean, the frustration that many Kenyans are feeling right now. In fact, for me, I want to say, Honorable Masara, if I had a way, I would actually disband the whole of this government, look for a coalition government, which then would be transitory for the next year, maybe, and then we go for elections. And then this country will pick itself up. Where we are right now, I don't see us solving the problems that we have.
Honorable Peter Masara thinks the joining of the ODM party, some members serving in cabinet conference.
It's a band-aid.
Do you?
What ODM has done, and what Mbadi, my friend, and all the team that has joined that government, that's band-aid. We must go. Let us not deal with the symptoms. Let us deal with the causes of why Kenya is where we are. We are not dealing with the causes. We keep dealing with the symptoms. Oh, get ODM to join us, and then we run government. So the membership of ODM, wherever they are, they'll calm down. They'll see that this government is functional, and now Kenya is going. No. Kenya is not where we should be. And Kenyans are demanding bongo. And the issue of whether this is propaganda or not is not. Because when you go to a shop, you can see whether there is stock, you'll see how the owner is running it, you'll see how the workers behave. The workers will tell you how the owner of that shop is running it. You can even go and check at the bank and see how the accounts of this shop is running. Is our shop as Kenya running effectively as a going concern, and which is functional and effective? My answer is no. And
Senator, I ask you this. I'll come to Honorable Masara. I'll give you the time. I ask you this because the last time this happened, the unholy alliance between Kenyatta and Odinga ended up with the Constitution of Kenya Amendment Bill 2020,
True.
Which you supported.
Yes.
But the court seriously indicted the political class for what it termed as not only a move to amend the Constitution,
yes,
but the attempts to dismember it. And there was a caution to the ruling by the Court of Appeal,
yes,
that in the event you bypass this Constitution, it will not be the wording of the judges of the Court of Appeal without consequences. Absolutely. And the judges live in this country and they know what's happening.
Thank you.
So given what's happening at the moment, the president said never should it happen that the opposition will come into government. He has done so. What are the risks here?
The risks are very simple, that we are a country that doesn't believe in constitutionalism, that we are a country that is not willing to face our reality the way it is and deal with the consequences and the problems. That when in Kenya you have an issue of national concern, we tribalize it. When you have a matter that is tribal, we nationalize it. I mean, there is a dysfunctionality in our own psychosis as a leadership. So what you have is that we are actually going back to looking for a mongrel system, because we don't want to accept in good governance. We don't want to follow the rules and regulations. Why? Because for now, those rules and regulations which are there, the ones which stop us, are the ones which we want to dismember to make sure that it's easy for us to do business with government, for us to employ our relatives, friends, and our communities, for us to make sure that we actually are not observing the law. This is if you have constitutional bodies, like IPOA, you have the ESCC. They may come in there when matters of finance are there. You are looking at the Director of Criminal Prosecution. All these institutions, they're dysfunctional. Why are they dysfunctional? Because everybody fears. In government today, nobody makes a decision without consulting the head of state.
Give it to him.
Okay.
Nobody.
Yes. First, Ayub, I want us to be progressive. Kenya is a progressive society. We are going ahead. In the process, we are facing challenges. We voted in 2022. It was not our wish for UDA to be in power. We were expecting Azimio to be in power. Now that we are not in power, we must sit down and rethink on how best we can utilize the opportunity we have now. Moving forward is that whatever is being said is healthy for this country. The democratic space of criticizing the government is very healthy, and I'm very happy about it because I'm a believer of democracy. But what we have to do is that we are where we are. What is the way out? I don't want to be pessimistic. I'm optimistic that the leaders we have in this country can sit down and chart a way which can bring this country back to the desired path. Mm-hmm. One way is that we as leaders, we must speak, not of because what we have achieved or what we were expecting and we have not gotten it, but we must speak as people who knows that there are 100, the voiceless, who have given their voices to speak on their behalf. This country is not moving toward the right direction. But the only hope I have is that now leaders can sit down and speak. I'm a Christian, and God is telling us, come, we speak. So that is a positive direction. As a country, we are taking that people can speak. People can mention Raila Odinga as somebody who can bring reforms. Somebody who can speak on our behalf. In 2022, majority of the people were saying, Mzee is old, let him go to Bondo. I'm wondering why you are bringing him out from Bondo. Majority were saying Raila should retire, he has played his role. But I'm happy now, everybody is saying this country is in the hand of Raila Odinga. And he has taken a different path.
And who are those saying that?
We're not disputing that.
I'm going to let him finish his point. Because I want to come back to your point. And you spoke as a good Christian. The same applies for Muslims because
yes.
in the Holy Quran, consultation is encouraged.
Yes.
And as a Muslim, I believe in that so. But unfortunately, Kenya is not a theocracy. It's a democracy. And God says in the holy books that I've given you intellect, think with it.
Mm-hmm. Yes.
Then how can the leadership of the country using their intellect fix systemic corruption, embezzlement, and fiscal mismanagement?
That's why I was coming. I'm going to. One, we must accept there is corruption. Everyone here, all of us, we are accepting corruption is there. We are accepting, each and every one of here, is that this issue of governance is wanting. The government of the day need to change how they operate. I'm not disputing that. We need, as a leader, I believe that things are not going toward the right direction. That's why I'm telling you, I'm optimistic that based on all these happenings, the president himself is no longer thumb-chasing. That Mutafanya is saying, guys, let us not portray this country as a bad country. You know, you must know the background of William Ruto. Mm-hmm. William Ruto in his entire life was in KANU. And you know what KANU is? My friend, majority of people making decisions today.
The angels have made him become
just a moment.
Wonderful now.
Okay. Let's just give it time.
Maybe God has touched his heart. I really hope it. Okay.
Majority of people making decisions now in this country,
they were in KANU.
Majority are products of KANU. And you know, change, all over, the researchers have done. Change is not something which can be brought just all of a sudden. These people are now in power and implementing a constitution they opposed. So in one way, they want to implement what was in their original mind. In another hand, they want to implement the constitution, which they didn't believe in. So what must happen is that we must come up with...
Can I rescue the member?
Let him finish.
Let me finish.
Yeah,
you know,
just finish.
It is 3 against 2.
No. You are doing very well.
Not 3.
Leader, you are doing very well. You are really doing well.
I'm not struggling.
You are doing well.
I'm not
You are doing very well.
I'm speaking from my heart.
Yeah, and face me.
And don't face them. You are right. Now, what we must do, people who believe in democracy, people who have struggled for the democratic space in this country must come together. They need not to fight each other. I sympathize with Martha Karua when he speaks the way he's speaking and forgetting she speaks how he's speaking today simply because Gachagua has been ousted and he comes from a mountain. I sympathize with such a people. The truth of the matter that in every cause there must be a sacrifice. This is the time to sacrifice those who fought for independence. I mean, the democratic space should come up and sit in a room and say, guys, we have got an opportunity to implement what was to be implemented. Okay.
There's a Somali saying, and I may introduce our viewers to that language and I'll translate. There's a poem which says, Dankan kahadli yokaman wakadafe hadalkie. Which means the subject matter that we're debating with the honorable member from Suna West, he has turned it upside down. The public can see it. One of the things that politicians, and we're all politicians, is to debate and not make it personal. It's about the issues that we have. Yeah. And there is no question in our mind, and we've all brought it up, that the government in this country has lost all kinds of substance. It has betrayed the electorate that brought it to power under the UDA, or the Kenya Kwanza. You could see the Secretary General, former Secretary General, is with Mr. Gachagua somewhere in the mountain. You can see that the Mungiki are now singing their songs over there in the villages. You can see that the country is being set on a path of tribal division. Because I argued this before, that because the Gen Zs brought out issues and the end of these tribal divisions that the political elite have been shoveling down our throats since independence was out the door. And the only tactic that the political class had was to come back and divide us based on the hearth, based on our villages, because they don't have any argument of substance. The economy has functionally collapsed. We can tell the country, you can see mental illness people all over the street. You can tell that the children who are going to school and children from primary school all the way to secondary school hardly have one meal to eat. Remember, the government promised that they were going to introduce food the school feeding. That program is going down the drain. You can see the university fees system, Ayub, which has gone down the drain. There's nothing to write home about the Ruto government. It's a disaster. It is the worst government we've had since independence. And when I argue these things, I'm here to argue for the people of this republic and tell them the views as I see it, as God made me see it. And that is why, Ayub, I'm making these comments about the government. Lastly, I want to say that the great theoretician of Africa, Amilcar Cabral, told us that we should tell no lies and we should claim no easy victories, no mask any difficulties, that we should expose the things that are hurting African peoples. Because you could tell that the hunger in this country today, about if you go to any hamlet or any village from our own place in northern Kenya all the way down to the lake or to Migori or anywhere, the standard of life has considerably dropped. Prices have gone up. People don't have jobs. Taxes are high. The country is under constant pressure. President, stop lecturing us on telling us that we're giving him fake news. You're not giving him fake news. We're telling him what's in the ground. Okay, we will sample the feedback, and shortly, Senator, I'll take your closing remarks.
Thank you. We have not discussed about the Ward Development Fund.
There's no time.
We'll find time.
You know, after the 2010 Constitution, yes, the Ward Development Fund will be another big win for this country.
support you on that one.
Yes.
That one I
What
support.
development fund you must
It
give
will
us
pass.
20 to 15
You being a
minutes.
member
Take it
of,
to the party.
Yes.
Make sure it's an issue in the party.
No, the party has, in fact, that one I can talk on behalf of the party.
Yeah,
that
okay.
We want water
Thank
development
you very
fund.
much.
Thank you.
We support you on that.
I support you too.
I have heard you for the past 1 hour 30 minutes. Let me hear what Kenyans are saying. I'll go next. Citizen Daybreak. The SMS code is 224.
Thank you. Nice.
At Citizen.
I think we can be doing this. We can be doing
Yes,
this.
what you're saying on X, we sample what we have. Remy Butia says, amid the ongoing political crisis, the people deserve a government that addresses the many challenges central to their nation's long-term interests. Kenya's leaders should set aside the differences over authority and help the country move forward. Godi Barasawere says, it seems President Ruto doesn't get factual State Departmental reports. It's shocking to hear him say that we are okay as a nation in the wake of Chief Shah, Adani mysterious dealings and the looming lecturer strike. Sir Nixon Dugure says, it's said that he who tells a lie is not conscious of how great a task he undertakes, for he must be forced to invent 20 more to maintain that one conscience. Babu Michael K says the KK government, through now President Ruto, said during the campaigns that when they get to power, extrajudicial killings will be a thing of the past. But unfortunately, now we've got a new norm, abductions. We have Kenyans who just disappeared. Engineer Lazaro says police should stop involving, he says, themselves in politics. They can't do security check while politicking. Very shameful. According to him, we are still battling extrajudicial killings, even with the robust 2010 constitution. Gabriel Kasiaka says, under whatever direction and outcome of the impeachment, there will be a messy and chaotic results and political casualty or casualties. Okello Mwalimu says, one would wonder what the impeached GP intends to achieve through his endless rants against the same government he is also passionately fighting to rejoin via the courts. The fact is, even in the midst of unacceptable abductions, our economy is much better without him. Senator, 30 seconds.
Yes, I want to say thank you for, I'm really happy to have shared this.
Yeah, it's a great show.
Discourse with my friends, my brothers and colleagues, because we have shared each other's political thoughts before as members of the ODM family. I hope and I pray that my party leader, Honorable His Excellency Raila Odinga, a man I've carried great respect for over the years, will use his soft diplomacy to engage President William Ruto and tell him that this country is in the wrong direction. Certain things have to be done. We can have some things done short term, we can have some for the medium term, and we can have some for the long term. The issue of changing the constitution, I beg the president, leave it alone. The issue of abductions that we are having right now, where Kenyans are dying, young people are scared to death. Nobody knows who's going to be picked up and where they're going to be picked up from. I want to persuade the president to leave that stuff alone. If anybody has broken the law, including me, arrest me, take me to court, let me serve my time and give me my respect, and I'll give the constitution the respect. Finally, I want to say that there is a gentleman who passed on. I don't know that you can remember. It's called Migota Dola. He's one of the highly very smart men
from Siaya
who passed on. These were the people who were guiding the transformation of Kenya, changing from a bad past to the good future. I hope that is in funeral people will be talking about how our government must give us good governance, because people like Migora Dola are people who really worked and made sure that our country became a good place.
Ahmed Oda, we are out of time. Thanks for your time. Honorable Peter Masala, much appreciated for your presence here on the broadcast. You and Ahmed had your final words. Senator Richard Onyonka, Kisii County, thank you for your time. Ahmed Hashi, Governor.
Thank you, Ayuba. Asante sana. No,
you had your final word, and Ahmed.
We're not in Parliament.
I thought I was going to say something about...
next time we come again. We come again next time.
There's no standing order.
We'll talk about that next time. Thanks for your time, gentlemen. We will discuss some other time. And thanks to you too for watching. Up next is Safina Chiengoma. Good morning.
Very well. Thank you.